A spoonful of podcast makes the medicine go down. This week on Boy Party, we're discussing one of the greatest films of all time, a classic musical, Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. It's Boy Party, and this week we're talking Mary Poppins. Let's go, boy party, up to the highest podcast charts. Let's go, boy party, and discuss Mary Poppins. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boy Party. My name is Lucian, and I'm joined, as always, by the magical nanny who came to fix all my problems and teach me that money is not the answer to all of life's concerns. It's Shane. Welcome to the show.
I wish I had a magic nanny who could fix my sore throat right now.
You have a sore throat right now?
I have a sore throat right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, Jesus
How long
Christ.
have you had this for?
Woke up this morning with it.
And you're sitting across the table from me.
As you frequently do to me.
Projecting your voice and your illness across the table.
As you very frequently do to me.
Shit.
You love to come into a room and announce, I'm sick. In the loudest, spittiest voice.
But I never make you ill. We need to construct some sort of
barrier.
Some sort of barrier here. I'm concerned.
All my saliva is going directly into the microphone, so it's fine.
I don't want to get sick.
You won't get sick.
I mean, if I get sick,
I have a theory that our nanny liked cleaning of the house yesterday.
It's provoked an allergic reaction.
Provoked a reaction to dust.
There was also moldy stuff being dug up out of the presses.
A little bit.
So I think I did wake up this morning with sort of a bit of a slight cough of like there is dust and mold in my throat. Not a sore throat.
I feel like the weather hasn't turned enough for it to be like
no
sore throat, sharp, cold season.
But when the weather vane turns, she comes, Mary Poppins flying through the sky. I love Mary Poppins, folks, more than any other movie. It's one of my 3 or 4 favorite films easily. But I'm not going to spend this whole episode just rambling about how much I love it. That would be boring. We're obviously going to talk about its 2 A-list stars, Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. In very rare case of a 1960s classic film with 2 stars who are both alive. It's unheard of. It is maybe the only film we could cover where that is the case. I mean, there's obviously Clint Eastwood movies, there's Gene Hackman movies, but there's Shirley MacLaine. But I do feel like it's incredibly unusual these days to have 2 big stars from the 60s still with us. It's wonderful. It's great. Just like this movie. You seem to have basically no familiarity with this film until about a month ago where I sat you down and watched it. Have you never seen chunks of it on TV?
No, never.
That's so weird.
My entire opinion of this film was based off multiple viewings of the Nanny McPhee films.
Right. So today I watched Nanny McPhee and The Big Bang today on TV.
That's the
just
complete
complete coincidence. Those films are okay.
Fine.
They're like very like English twee. They exist on a spectrum of Babe to Paddington. They're okay.
Yeah, they fall into that Wonka type of...
Sure. Yeah. Wonka is a good comparison for them. I did have a thought, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about the sequel to this movie, Mary Poppins Returns, which is not very good. But I do think Emma Thompson, circa 1990s to early 2000s, would have been a much better Mary Poppins in a sequel than Emily Blunt ended up being.
She aged
out of it slightly. And then I think Nanny McPhee was the compromise, but she also wrote those movies. Nanny McPhee was a passion project for Emma Thompson. She wrote both those movies. And then I think by the point they made Mary Poppins Returns, you couldn't cast her because she'd done Nanny McPhee.
Yeah.
And also, if you're casting someone in her 60s in that movie, then it's kind of insulting to not just bring back Julie Andrews because
it's
like,
a bit too close.
Yeah, it's like, well, if she's not going to be young, then she may as well just be Julie.
And did Julie Andrews pop up in the...
She doesn't. She's actively not in it. In fact, she goes so far as to be in another movie that came out the exact same day where she voices a bongo drumming octopus in the DC movie Aquaman, released the same day as Mary Poppins Returns.
So she was still working and capable.
Yes, she seemed to do that as almost just kind of a fuck you to the movie.
Yeah.
She said she had no beef with it. I mean, the issue is she can't sing anymore.
Sure.
There is a role...
Like, we have enough tech to get around.
Yeah, there is a role in that film of the balloon lady, which seems like it was written for Julie Andrews, and instead they put Angela Lansbury in it, who is sort of the next closest thing in the sense that she's in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which is the sort of the follow up to Mary Poppins in the 60s or 71, and then she also Angela Lansbury was considered for this part. But anyway, enough about Mary Poppins Returns. You say you hadn't seen this. I find that amazing because it's in so much in the RTE Christmas movies rotation, along with Sound of Music and Indiana Jones. I feel like this is this is maybe not as much as those films, but I feel like this is always shown at some point. If not on RTE, definitely on BBC over Christmas and
I
New
think
Year.
I had a real, like my family maybe just kind of had an aversion to the more classic stuff on TV around Christmas. It was on too early in the day.
Right.
Even you're saying Indiana Jones. I've never seen Indiana Jones.
Have you not seen Sound of Music?
No.
Wow, that's mad. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's terrible.
We watched the Bond that was on at 9 o'clock. That was our sit down and watch something.
God.
Like, we always perked up when we heard the Oscar winner from 4 years ago was on. Like,
Yeah. I object to all of this.
again, like my parents have no like relationship with film
Of
at all.
course.
So like they're not there to kind of like prompt you to watch
I
it.
know that, and that's fine. I just feel like the average Irish family has watched The Sound of Music and Mary Poppins multiple times. It would be unusual to find people who haven't. I think you are a unique case in that sense. It's amazing to me you haven't seen The Sound of Music. You'll have nothing. Have you ever seen Julie Andrews in another film?
I don't think so.
That's apart from Shrek.
Perfect Shrek.
That's so bad.
Shrek. No, there's a movie we watched on Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, me too. But
Yeah.
obviously, she's only in Shrek 2 and 3. I don't know if she's in 4. She is in the Despicable Me films as Gru's mother. Not in the most recent one. That's shocking. So I'm on a Mary Poppins podcast with a man who's never seen Julie Andrews in another movie.
Well, you know what? I don't have much input into what we do on this podcast.
Yeah, I know. We've just done Joker month. We had to do Mary Poppins is kind of like the Joker if you think about it. No, she's not. That's a stupid
Mary
thing to
Poppins
say. What a
is my
stupid
Joker.
Yeah, what a stupid thing to say. Well, I know what you can give me some feedback on because you always love to do this. The songs. Let's go through the songs. I want to hear your thoughts on each song and if you can remember the songs.
We watched this 6 weeks ago.
These songs were written by Richard and Robert Sherman, the great brothers, songwriting brothers. Robert Sherman died a number of years ago, and Richard Sherman died this year, which was very sad. I was a big fan. In the movie Saving Mr. Banks, which I'll also mention, those guys are played by Jason Schwartzman and BJ Novak, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So the movie starts with Sister Suffragette, which is performed by the Banks' mother, who is a suffragette, and she is going off to a protest.
Yep.
And she gets the cook and the maid up in arms in this big number about how they're going to fight the government for women's rights.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible stuff.
Great song.
Glynis Johns also died very recently. Very sad, but it's a great song. Then we've got The Life I Lead, which is just Mr. Banks singing about his routine.
Oh, I like this one. This is like, I like to sit down and smoke my pipe and send the kids to bed so I don't have to pay attention.
It's good. It's a good chauvinist bop. Like, it's a good horrible man song. Then we've got The Perfect Nanny, which is the kids being like, we'll be good and we won't poison you. We won't do this other terrible thing. That was a big learned in primary school one for me.
Yeah. It's kind of a nursery rhyme, nearly.
Sort of. It's a very short one. Then we've got A Spoonful of Sugar, one of the more iconic ones in the film, which is basically Mary Poppins shows up and she wants the kids to clean.
Yeah.
So she's like, if you clean the house, we will have a nice time after. I think
That sounds like the plot of a film we watched recently called Afraid-Eyed.
Afraid-Eyed. That was like that was a Mary Poppins. That was like the world's worst Mary Poppins movie. Then we've got then there's like there's also bits in here where Dick Van Dyke just shows up and kind of tells us about what his deal is. He is our narrator. He is Bert. Well, he's kind of a narrator. He doesn't narrate beyond the first 10 minutes, really.
He comes in and summarizes stuff every now and again.
Yeah, like he shows up at the start. We meet him at the corner of the park. He's doing a series of things. He has a one-man band, which like to tell you that all I wanted as a child was the purchase of a one-man band
kit
with a fucking accordion, things you can blow into,
cymbals on your knees,
harmonica, cymbals everywhere, and you can just make a ton of noise.
Lots of nice ropes and pulleys.
There was a guy in Galway who had one for a while, busking on the corner of Maingard Street and Shop Street. It was wonderful. So he shows up and he sings. He sings about his business, and then we go into the animated section, and we have Jolly Holiday, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, which I guess is the most famous song.
Yes,
these are great songs. Then they leave the animated section, and then we have the Stay Awake, which is like the one song in this that I would skip on the soundtrack, which is it's like a reverse psychology song where she wants the kids to go to sleep, so she's like, don't go to sleep. You'll have to stay away.
Well, you have to skip it because it'll put you to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. It works. It's hypnotic. Then my favorite song, I Love to Laugh. And this is when they all go to visit. This is when the movie just goes into full like hangout mode.
Yeah.
We're just doing some stuff.
All right,
to have
kids
fun.
have settled down. We can kind of just do whatever.
Yeah,
now.
we can do whatever. This is when they go to visit the crazy Bert's uncle.
Yeah.
Who has laughed so much that he has floated up to the top of his ceiling and he can't get down. Played by the wonderful Ed Wynn.
Sorry, is that the premise, or when they show up he's sad and they have to make him laugh?
No, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
He's floating around. They all start laughing because he tells them this great joke. I met a man with a wooden leg named Smith. What's the name of the other leg? They all start laughing so much at this absolute zinger that they all float up to the ceiling and they sing, I love to laugh. And then they realize that they have to go home because they've been there for ages. And then in order to come down, they all have to start saying sad things. And the ultimate sad thing that gets the uncle to come down is that they have to leave. That's devastating. It's so sad.
That's quite nice.
And then Mr. Banks takes the kids to the bank and he sings a sort of an extension of The Life I Lead, which is about the bank and how great the bank is. Then we have Feed the Birds, which is about the lady who sits outside St. Paul's Cathedral feeding the birds, which is when this movie goes into full-on, like, dreamy, spooky London nighttime territory, which is when it gets, like, truly amazing for me. Then they go to the bank, and Dick Van Dyke shows up again as the banker, and he sings Fidelity Fiduciary Bank, which is just a song about how great the bank is.
Love it.
Then we have Chim Chim Cheree and Step in Time, which are sort of the back-to-back chimney sweeps up on the roof songs.
I think that was my favorite bit.
That was your favorite bit? It's incredible.
I thought the dance sequence on the roof and the chimney stuff was...
It is brilliant.
So good.
It's great. Then we have Mr. Banks and Bert sing a song together called A Man Has Dreams, which is sort of just an extension of... Spoonful of Sugar. And Bert flubs the lyrics of the song, which we found really interesting. He goes, because the song is famously a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. But in this scene, Bert goes, a spoonful of sugar is all it takes to turn bread and water into sugar cakes. But then they turn that into a song for Mr. Banks. And then the movie...
Is that like... Was that a deliberate, not deliberate?
No, it's part of the movie. Like,
part of the movie.
But it's weird that Bert changes the song that she sang earlier. Anyway.
Sorry, so it wasn't like
it wasn't a mistake.
A bad
no.
take in.
I don't think so. Sorry.
Because you were talking about it earlier.
I know. And then the movie ends with Let's Go Fly a Kite, which is basically just Mr. Banks is a nice guy now and he's repaired the kite for the kids. We've kind of gone through the movie there, through the songs.
Yeah.
All wonderful songs. I've seen this on stage in 2005. I saw it on the West End in London. It was very good. Mary Poppins, went flying on her umbrella up through to the balcony and everything.
Like Pink.
Like Pink. The one thing I didn't like was that they added in a song called Temper Temper that was about telling the kids to behave with all these little golems crawling out of the toy boxes at night, which I really didn't like. It was scary and stupid and it did not correspond with the tone of Mary Poppins.
Doesn't fit her. It's not consistent with her methods of control.
Exactly. She would never have scary golems crawling around at night. So this movie was obviously a Walt Disney joint. He was the kind of mastermind behind this, and it is probably his greatest achievement, in my opinion, as a creator. He's not a director. He is one of the all-time controlling producers, but this has his fingerprints all over it. And if you watch Saving Mr. Banks, which is an okay film about how good this movie is, you'll learn a partially true, partially fabricated version of how Walt Disney and P.L. Travers, the author of the Mary Poppins books, went from sort of friends to enemies to friends again and got this movie off the ground. His kids supposedly loved the books and basically asked him to make them into a film. So he approaches P.L. Travers, and she's anti-cinema, anti-Hollywood.
Yeah.
She loves books. She doesn't want kids watching movies, and she's like, I won't do it. Sorry, the other thing I meant to say, Emma Thompson plays P.L. Travers in that movie. So Emma Thompson has done the Mary Poppins.
Yeah, she's got her.
Yeah. And that was made before Mary Poppins Returns. So Disney basically works really, really, really hard to persuade her to let him make this film. And the way that he cracks her in the end in Saving Mr. Banks is him being the first person who has vocalized to her that the moral of the film is about the father. And the father is the protagonist of the film who discovers, the meaning of life and has an arc. And that Mary Poppins and Bert are very much just... they're just conduits for him to, they're catalysts for him to change his way of living.
Sure.
Which is interesting. And I think in many ways he is kind of the protagonist of the film, but also he's only in the movie for like 25 minutes. So it's not like you can pretend that he's the lead of the film or anything. But also the dad stuff gets abandoned for like the middle hour, I feel like. Like he hires Mary Poppins, and then as soon as Mary Poppins shows up, they just go off on adventures for an hour.
That's kind of the point.
Which is the point. And then the dad stuff kicks in again in the last 25 minutes when they start worrying about the bank.
Dad goes on the riding the carousel animated land adventure.
No, he doesn't.
He does.
No, he doesn't. The dad's not involved in any of that. That's Bert, Mary, Bert, and the
Bert?
kids. Yeah, it's all Bert. The dad never partakes in any fun until
I thought
the
I'd
very
already
end.
seen the dad on the funny horses.
No. No. So the dad is played by the wonderful David Tomlinson in this. David Tomlinson is brought back then a couple years later. Sorry, I'm saying everything out of order, but this movie is directed by Robert Stevenson. When P.L. Travers obviously agrees to let this film get made, it gets made, it's a huge hit. She hates it. She was never going to like it. This woman clearly did not enjoy film, and that's fine. So she won't let them make any more of these movies, any sequels. So what they do instead is they adapt, I believe, Mary Norton book, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, into a movie with Angela Lansbury and David Tomlinson as the male co-lead, which is another fabulous film, which I love almost as much as Mary Poppins. It's very different, but it's really, really terrific. And that has sort of witches and wizards and World War II and kids with magic and all this stuff. And it touches a lot of the same points as Mary Poppins, but it's fun that David Tomlinson, Mr. Banks, gets to come back and have a much bigger role in that film where he plays like a fun guy. Yeah. It's a totally different role. He plays like the silly one in that film. He's the Bert to Angela Lansbury's Mary Poppins, more or less. So the script is written by Bill Walsh and Don DeGrady. I think one of those guys is played by Bradley Whitford in Saving Mr. Banks, which is a lot of fun. And they cast Mary. They're considering Betty Davis. They're considering Angela Lansbury, Julie Harris. And Walt's first choice for Bert was Cary Grant. That's just silly. That's just silly. Like, aside from
He's too polished kind of thing.
I mean, it's an English character.
Yeah.
If you're going to cast an American actor,
Cary Grant is English.
Cary Grant is English. You're right. Why do I find Cary Grant doing a Cockney accent and playing Bert so much harder to imagine than the very American Dick Van Dyke? That just seems very, very silly.
Is he just not rough enough around the edges?
Yeah, he's too put together. Yeah, he's a serious guy. I don't know. I can't imagine Cary Grant dressed up as a chimney sweep. I feel like at best, Cary Grant sometimes will play like a military man.
Yeah.
But that's like the only time where he's not wearing a suit and tie.
His nails are too well cleaned.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Bert is a crusty. Bert is a Galway resident. Like,
yes.
Also,
Cary Grant does not wear one-man band.
No,
machines.
he does not. He does not blow into a mini trumpet.
He does not clink and clank when he walks.
No.
That man walks silently on a cloud.
Yeah. Anthony Newley also considered for the role of Bert. Anthony Newley probably would have been really good in this movie, but look, I'm glad we got the Dick Van Dyke. So Julie Andrews has just been a huge sensation on stage in My Fair Lady. And then they make My Fair Lady into a movie. And instead of casting Julie Andrews, they cast Audrey Hepburn, who they don't even let sing her own songs.
Yeah.
And they have somebody else dub the singing, which is incredibly rude to Julie Andrews, who is a wonderful actress and a wonderful singer. So Julie Andrews hasn't been in a film yet, and Disney approaches her by playing Mary Poppins. She is 3 months pregnant, and Disney postpones filming until she gives birth. So this is, I guess, her first movie, which is...
They postponed this by a long time, or was it just like the baby was born, they're like, Julie, get on set?
I think it was that, yeah.
Okay.
But like, this is her first film. It's hilarious, really, if you look at the poster for this movie, how it is big Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke faces, and it's like Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke, Mary Poppins. If you consider that Julie Andrews had never been in a film before and was entirely known as being a stage actor, and Dick Van Dyke had been in like 2 movies and was 2 years deep into starring in a major TV sitcom. Like, you're talking the equivalent now of having a debut actress starring in a movie with like, there is no equivalent, but like some guy.
We don't know who stage actors are.
We also don't know who's been in a, like, okay, maybe like Rachel Zegler 2 years ago.
Sure.
And then the male lead being a guy who's been in a sitcom for 2 years, who's been in one movie. I don't know who that person is in 2024. I guess like one of the guys from what are the big comedy shows on like HBO these days? It's The Bear, I guess.
The Bear.
Okay, so like I guess if Jeremy Allen White was in a big movie now, you'd be like, okay, fair enough.
He is very Dick Van Dyke.
The difference is that the difference is that the Dick Van Dyke Show was probably being watched by like 80 million people because there was only 2 channels.
But like, do people just have a better knowledge of like West End?
I think so.
Theater stars.
She was obviously well known. I mean, I don't think they would have cast her if she was a nobody.
Like was this primary? Like, what was the kind of relationship with like domestic and international box office around the time back then? Like, if Disney's making a film back then with all these English actors, are they kind of just targeting the English market?
So Mary Poppins made 31 million in the US and Canada, and
in that 40 times money,
44 worldwide in that time's money.
Jesus.
So 44 million, including a 31 in the US. So it did 3/4 of its money in the US.
Okay.
So no, I don't think England is that big of a consideration.
But I mean, there's not that much of there's not a complete separation in cinema at the time.
No, I don't think so. No,
international markets.
No, Disney movies were playing globally.
What year was this again?
This is 1964.
The year my father was born.
Very good. This film in anyway, so Dick Van Dyke gets cast because Disney has seen him in the Dick Van Dyke Show. Dick Van Dyke has starred in the movie of Bye Bye Birdie, which was his big Broadway performance. That's his first film in 1963. And then just before this comes out, he appears in What a Way to Go, which is this Shirley MacLaine movie that he's in with like Paul Newman and fucking Robert Mitchum in it. Just like loads and loads of guys are in that movie. Yeah. It's crazy. And then he's in Mary Poppins. And again, like he's being treated like a huge star, even though he's only been in the Dick Van Dyke Show since 1961. There's 158 episodes of the Dick Van Dyke Show. It's called the Dick Van Dyke Show, but he plays a character called Rob Petrie. Isn't that weird?
What?
And I thought, oh, how odd that they named the show after the actor and the character had a different name. And then I realized that in 2013, there was an NBC sitcom called The Michael J. Fox Show, where Michael J. Fox starred as a character called Mike Henry. So they're still doing this shit. Like,
oh, really?
They're still doing this shit. And I don't understand.
But like, is Michael J. Fox kind of playing himself in that? Like,
he's playing like a TV newsman. Like, so kind of, like he's playing a celebrity with Parkinson's. So half
like,
of
does
him.
Larry David play Larry David?
Larry David plays Larry David, the creator of Seinfeld. Like everything about Larry David's life in Curb is true to reality, other than his like marital status and the existence of the show Curb, which does not exist in Curb. It's interesting. Like in Curb, people treat Larry David like this big, famous, recognizable person, and it's like, he'd only be that famous because of Curb. Yeah. So Dick Van Dyke won the role of Bert, and then he lobbied to also play Senior Mr. Dawes. Disney said he was too young for the part, and Van Dyke did a screen test. He had trouble with Bert's Cockney accent. His vocal coach was J. Pat O'Malley, an Irish guy who I think did the voice of the horse or something. His attempt at a Cockney accent is considered one of the poorest accents in film history. Now, I love his accent in this. I think it's great. If he comes out now and says that was a mistake, I didn't intend it to be like that, it was bad, fair enough, he's being honest. But like, compared to Don Cheadle's British accent in the Ocean's movies, which is so much worse in my opinion.
Why would you cast Don Cheadle as an English guy?
I think Don Cheadle just did that as like
fine, but like anything that comes out in the 60s is like obviously given a pass when it comes to like realism.
Absolutely. I have no problem with this. This film has like penguins dancing in it. Who cares if the accents are bad?
Yeah, like when you see the kind of like level of graphic design of this non-serious stuff in this, it's like, of course the accents are going to be wacky and crazy. Like,
he got a BAFTA Lifetime Achievement Award a couple of years ago, and he apologized to the British people for. I mean, no one should ever apologize to the British people. And we have no doubt obviously we're kind of fragilistic. And then he said that T.L. Travers hated him and Julie Andrews. She didn't think they were right. God, that must be funny to be hated by Julie Andrews. So this film comes out in August 1964. The premiere, I was showing you guys some footage from the premiere on the Blu-ray. There's like really fun, like really high quality footage
incredible.
from the red carpet.
It's really one of the most surreal things to see.
It's like 4K quality footage, and they're like, and now coming up the red carpet, it's Mr. Dick Van Dyke. It's really, really
I've
good.
never seen the 60s look like that before.
Yeah, it's so vivid and saturated.
Yeah,
I'd highly recommend going on YouTube and looking it up.
It's really bizarre.
P.L. Travers was not invited to the event, but she got an invite and snuck in anyway, and she went up to Disney and said, the animated sequence had to go. And he said, the ship has sailed, and walked away. The animated sequence is not my favorite part of the movie, but it is a lot of fun. But it's not my favorite part. If I was to cut anything, it would be some of the animated sequence. It goes on a bit long.
Necessary for like setting tone for the rest of the film.
Okay, perhaps. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing about this film I would change, but it's the one thing where I'm like, maybe you could shave like 2 minutes here. I don't know.
Fine.
Just the horse racing and the hunting and stuff. It just goes on a long time.
But again, I'm happy when films like this are happy to commit to like, fine, we'll do an animated sequence.
Of course,
like,
yes.
It's always something that I...
Yes. The animated scene in Bedknobs and Broomsticks is better, in my opinion. They go underwater, and they dance around with all the fish, and it's a bit more creative. Yeah. This film was a huge Oscars success, which is good to know. Yeah. It was nominated for loads of Oscars. It was nominated for Best Picture, alongside My Fair Lady, which won, not starring Julie Andrews, Dr. Strangelove, Beckett with Peter O'Toole, and Zorba the Greek with Anthony Quinn. Stevenson's nominated for Best Director, loses to George Cukor for My Fair Lady. And then Rex Harrison won Best Actor. God, what a year for Best Actor. Rex Harrison, Richard Burton, Peter O'Toole, Peter Sellers, and Anthony Quinn. Julie Andrews won the Oscar for Best Actress in her first film role. How wonderful.
Also worth noting that another film that came out this year was Failsafe.
Oh, interesting.
1964.
Very good. Okay, very good. Julie Andrews has won Oscar for this. I don't really understand how she didn't win again for The Sound of Music. She lost that one to Julie Christie in Darling. Well, that's a bit silly. But anyway, she wins the Oscar. She beats Anne Bancroft, Sophia Loren, Debbie Reynolds, and Kim Stanley. And Dick Van Dyke not nominated and was never Oscar nominated.
I mean, if people hated the accent so much, then
yeah. But
if that was the,
I don't know if they hated it at the time. Like, I think his performance, like, I don't know how you can nominate or you can give Julie Andrews an Oscar for this film and not nominate him, but also not nominate David Tomlinson, who I think is incredible in this and has the most traditionally dramatic bit of acting to do. I mean, Julie Andrews is amazing, but like most of what she does is go from stern to silly and back very fluidly, and then just absolutely kills every one of the songs. Whereas I feel like David Tomlinson actually has quite a complex performance to give, but I guess he just wasn't the sort of actor they were going to nominate. He was like some English guy they hadn't heard of. But this was nominated for a bunch of other Oscars too, which is great, and wins score as well, and wins best song for Chim Chim Cheree. I think there has been a window that is maybe now closing to give Dick Van Dyke a token Oscar nomination / win in his 90s. That they are, for some reason...
Like not just an honorary one. Like
no, but I think there was a window where someone could have cast him in a film, in a role, where people would have gone, oh yeah, fuck, Dick Van Dyke Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
To me, an option for that
just
role...
have him as the old guy and something.
Because
like,
Judd Hirsch in The Fabelmans shows up for 10 minutes as the funny grandpa, gives a little speech to the kid about, you gotta live your life. Now, that film is very Jewish themed, and you need a Jewish actor, so that's not a role for Dick Van Dyke to play. But he's like... Judd Hirsch is whatever in his late 80s, and he got an Oscar nomination for that, and it was such an easy nomination to get. And I'm like, oh, it's such a shame that Dick Van Dyke never got that opportunity, and now it's like it's pretty much that door is closing, and that he's like 98 years old. He's turning 99 in December. I don't know if people are expecting him to live that long. And he's very healthy. But he's not acting in films. He's showing up on the Masked Singer and all this kind of shit,
which is like the most hysterical thing.
So funny. He's very lively, but like, God, somebody just give him a bit of acting to do and give him an Oscar nomination. You don't have to give him a win. I guess Mary Poppins Returns was a possibility there, where he does show up, but he's literally in that for like 3 minutes.
Does he not do like a bit of a musical sequence in that?
He does, but it's like 2 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
And he's just playing Mr. Dawes again. It's just more of this. It's nothing new. He was... people were saying he won an Emmy this year, but he didn't. For
the Masked Singer episode?
No, it was a Dick Van Dyke at 98 special concert thing. It won an Emmy, but he didn't win one because he wasn't a credited producer, but his wife was. It's all very complicated. But he, after Mary Poppins, has an okay, but not incredible film career. I mean, I would say he's an actor I absolutely adore, who probably could have been in more great movies had he chosen to be. He is, of course, the star of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in 1968, which is another one of these incredible family musicals. Have you seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? No, that's mad. God, this is such a bad hole in your.
I'm a horrible co-host this week. I apologize.
Your lack of classic musicals you've seen is extraordinary to me.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
We'll get to it.
I'm working on it. So he's in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is great. He's in a movie called Fitzwilly, which is kind of fun, which I just like the title of. But then most of his movies are just stupid comedies where he's just a cheeky guy.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Do we have a cheeky guy these days? Was this just the 60s version of Adam Sandler? I guess.
Cheeky guy. But is he showing up as a lead cheeky guy?
Yeah. He's the lead of all these movies. He's always a guy who has a cigar in his mouth or is holding an umbrella and is maybe interacting with kids and is just a silly uncle. Who's our silly uncle star? Is it Adam Sandler? I can't think of another silly uncle movie star of the last. Robin Williams obviously kind of fits that category. Yeah. And then there hasn't been another Robin Williams. So we're a bit stuck.
Has there not?
Steve Carell just missed out on there being movies made when he got big.
Yeah.
But after the 60s, I don't think Dick Van Dyke ever makes another 5-star movie, which is a bummer.
Does he continues to be in musicals and stuff?
He's in The Odd Thing, but he really doesn't make that many movies.
Yeah.
He ends up on this show called Diagnosis Murder that runs from I think this was on for many years. This runs from 1993 to 2001. So he spends the whole 90s on that show. And he just does loads of TV movies and is a beloved entertainer more than a beloved actor. Sure. You know, he's sort of a Neil Patrick Harris of his day. He's just known as being around the place. Sitcoms, The Odd Movie, stage, and
probably things. Did he present at the Oscars one year ever?
Sure, he always shows up presenting at things. Yeah. The next good movie he's in that I can name is Night at the Museum, which he's pretty good in, where he shows up as Cecil Friedrichs, and he's in all three of those. And then he
didn't give him an Oscar nomination for that.
No, he did not. And then he's in Mary Poppins Returns. And there aren't really any other real movies in here. So not much to say about Dick Van Dyke as a movie star other than
bit of a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, he's a two-hit wonder. Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But the man is 98. He is a Bernie Sanders supporter, left-wing socialist, recovered alcoholic who goes to the gym every day, has gone on The Masked Singer, truly one of my favorite living American people.
Yeah.
I have nothing bad to say about the man. So we may never cover him again because there hasn't been any other boy parties, but
if you're an American out there today, this is what you should strive to do: is be in musicals,
be Dick Van Dyke,
be left wing,
and be 99 years old.
Yes.
Julie Andrews, meanwhile, is similarly kind of has a spotty-ish film career. She has the two kind of massive, incredible hits in this and The Sound of Music, which is another just absolute banger. Which it's extraordinary you haven't seen. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you'd get as much out of The Sound of Music in your mid-20s as you would out of Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins has a inherent cartoon goofiness to it, which I knew you'd appreciate to some extent. Sound of Music is a very sincere World War II Nazi musical.
Yeah.
I don't know how that one
when this was coming out, Mary Poppins was coming out, was it targeted as this is the main adult popular
absolutely
film
yeah
these weren't targeted at kids
no I mean the Disney one,
they're family films.
Poppins would have been targeted at kids in the sense that it was associated with the Disney brand, which in the 60s was the kid movies, and then also it has animated dancing penguins and cartoon stuff. The Sound of Music would have been the fucking Oppenheimer of its day in the sense of all
Nolan or Spielberg,
all audiences out to see this. That's how West Side Story and The Sound of Music were being received. But Julie Andrews similarly kind of a spotty movie career. She is in the Hitchcock film Torn Curtain with Paul Newman, which is fun that she got to work with Hitchcock. She's in Thoroughly Modern Millie, which I watched recently, which is a slog. And then she gets married to, I'm literally forgetting the name, Blake Edwards, who is a very inconsistent director. And this is the man who made the Pink Panther and all of its various sequels. she just starts working with him and making stuff like Victor Victoria, which I watched recently and was not a fan of. S.O.B. She's in all the Pink Panther movies and little cameos. She's in this That's Life with Jack Lemmon that Blake Edwards directs. Like, none of these are that great. And like, I'm looking through here and there's no films in here that I really like after Sound of Music. Then she loses her voice, can't sing anymore. She's not in any movies between 1991 and 2001. Then in 2001, she's in The Princess Diaries as like sort of the co-lead with Anne Hathaway, which is a big Julie Andrews. You remember her? She was your favorite 40 years ago, and now
that a girl party.
That's a girl party, yeah. And she plays the queen in that, and those movies are fun. She's in 2 of those, and then she's in The Shreks, and then she's in Tooth Fairy with The Rock, where she does her kind of Princess Diaries performance again, and she's like got her arms folded, and she's like, "Mr. Johnson, you are a terrible Tooth Fairy." Like that's not worthy of her time.
No.
And then all she's been since then is Shrek Forever After, Despicable Me 3, Aquaman, Minions: The Rise of Gru. That is the last few years of Julie Andrews' career.
I mean, if you are accustomed to the kind of film industry setup of the 60s where you are in the big family blockbuster of the year and they're the films you feel like you're known for, does it not make sense that you show up in The Tooth Fairy and Despicable Me and Shrek?
Yes, I suppose.
Is there a consistency there of how this person probably perceives themselves to be as a popular film star?
Yes. I don't blame her for taking a role in Tooth Fairy, which if you check my Letterboxd, I may have given that film 3 stars. I guess my issue is there were good family films being made in the 2000s that she is not in.
Like big studio.
Night at the Museum and Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium and Stardust. Like, why isn't she in any of those? Now, she does do a voiceover narrator thing in Enchanted, which is a movie she could have done great in. Mm-hmm. There's just like a bunch of those films that I feel like tie into the Mary Poppins vibe a little bit. Yeah. Like Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium is hugely indebted to Mary Poppins and is a wonderful modern kind of spin on this type of fantasy film. Like, she could have popped up in some of those. I don't know. And then Angela Lansbury kind of does. Angela Lansbury is in Mr. Popper's Penguins, which she's great in. And she actually steals roles out from under Julie Andrews, it feels like. And has a better second half to her career than Julie Andrews does. And takes more risks. And I think a large part of what happened to Julie Andrews not taking risks was that she just worked with Blake Edwards for years, who is not a director of particularly interesting films. Meanwhile, Angela Lansbury, her sort of rival, is over here making something for everyone, a crazy kind of queer film, and she's in interesting stuff, and you're like, I wish Julie Andrews could have done all that. But anyway.
Like, Julie Andrews wouldn't have been in, like, Harry Potter territory.
I wonder, did they offer her any roles in Harry Potter? I mean, I guess the only real role you could have given her is the Maggie Smith part. I would say she's like a bit old. It's not even age, because she's actually younger than Maggie Smith, I think.
Oh, is she? Okay.
I mean, she's alive and Maggie Smith is dead, so
True.
You would imagine she might be. I think she's like too casual of a performer for those roles. She's super...
Does she ever show up in period pieces at all? Like,
not really. She's just super kind of chill as an old woman. Like, Princess Diaries is a perfect use for her. It's like, well, that's not right. To be in Harry Potter, you have to be able to do the...
You have to be aware of the evils of the world.
Yeah, you got to be able to do the Voldemort is murdering people and we don't know why bullshit.
No one dies in Julie
Yeah,
Andrews.
Exactly. Julie Andrews... Now, the Sound of Music has fucking Nazi stuff in it, but I feel like she can't really do the exposition about fucking Voldemort. Like, Maggie Smith just about pulled that shit off. I wouldn't make Julie Andrews do that. But you're right. I mean, it is interesting that the Harry Potter movies have every great British actor in them, and they don't pull in people like Angela Lansbury and Julie Andrews, who I guess maybe were almost seen as like too sacred. Like, let's not touch them.
Let's not touch them.
They're in their own category. Yeah. Like, Richard Harris is kind of the one guy of that generation who gets pulled in, and he literally dropped dead like 2 movies in. So,
one quick fact check: you did in fact give Tooth Fairy 3 stars on Letterboxd.
Is there a review?
Too much hockey.
There's a lot of hockey in that.
And I can't believe Julie Andrews has to spend that much time around Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, Stephen Merchant is in that too.
Pretty fun to watch from my COVID sickbed, I must say.
I watched it when I had COVID.
There's a lot more you said, but
she's in a lot of scenes with Stephen Merchant, which is an upsetting crossover. I wish that hadn't occurred.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have anything else to say about this film. I love the dad stuff in it and the bank stuff. I think that is a brilliant anti-capitalist thing about, teaching your children the right values. the kid, you're making faces, Mr. Bank.
I still think you should put your money into a high interest.
I don't. I think you should keep all your money in a box of coins that goes jingle, jingle, jingle. I adore the scene where Mr. Dawes takes Michael's Queen's pound, and Michael goes, "That's my money, give me," it's tuppence, "That's my money, give me back my money," and people go, "The bank won't give him his money," and causes a run on the bank, and then the dad loses his job, and the dad has lost his job because they call him to the bank in the dead of night and they punch a hole through his bowler hat with an umbrella.
That's what happens in Margin Call.
Yeah, it's a margin call ass situation. It really is brilliant. There's a good financial thriller in the heart of Mary Poppins.
There is a little bit.
I do want to give a shout out, to the two children who I didn't mention at all, who are wonderful in this. Very weird kids, weird vibes, and I love it. We got Karen Dotrice as Jane, and then Matthew Garber as Michael Banks, and Matthew Garber. Sorry, these kids are in the No-Mobile as well in '67, another one of these Disney musicals that I adore with Sherman Brothers songs. And Matthew Garber died at the age of 21 in 1977. Just 13 years after he's in this movie, which is one of the saddest things ever.
Chimney sweeping got to him.
Yeah, well, it's very sad.
Yes.
He died. He got hepatitis in India. This is how people were dying in the 70s. It's unbelievable. So really, really sad.
Modern medicine's a miracle.
But I think if you are someone who hasn't seen this film and you go, I don't want to watch the Magic Nanny musical, the bank shit will get you, and if that doesn't, the floating uncle will get you. I think there's so many absolutely one-of-a-kind, imaginative, inventive scenes in this that something will win you over, even if you're cynical as to the nanny premise, which you shouldn't be, because all the nanny stuff is really funny. There's a scene where all the nannies get blown away when they're queuing up outside the house because they've hired someone and they don't need them anymore.
Yeah, I think it took me longer than it probably should have as a teenager to realize that movies made in the 60s had inventive humor and stuff. I thought they were all just straight kind of sincere.
And I don't know why you would have thought that.
I don't know.
That's the thing. There aren't any straight sincere movies.
No, not at all.
Movies only got sincere when Spielberg came along. Shit was wacky until he ruined it. These Disney films all have an incredible amount of irony in them, and also
political commentary and cynicism.
Yeah, exactly. Complete cynicism of how the system that these films were being made within was working, and Walt Disney just let that shit slide on by,
Yeah.
He was a horrible capitalist piece of shit, and he let this film get made the way that it was made.
This is what made money.
And this is what made money. And it's that's what doesn't happen anymore, So it's great.
People are too uptight and sensitive.
Yes. So
woke has ruined Mary Poppins.
Yeah, couldn't make Mary Poppins
Couldn't
now.
make Mary Poppins.
So I'm not going to bother with the credits game because these two actors are just not in that many movies. But will we do the box office for 1964?
Yeah, we should.
We've done the Oscars, so Oscar nominations, so we have a sense of a few of these, but we might have some surprises. Also, as you mentioned, Failsafe came out this year.
As did Dr. Strangelove.
Yes. Well, let's not mention any more now. Let's get that list up. So Failsafe, folks, you really need to check that out. That's a Sidney Lumet movie
we
about
mentioned that on one of our other episodes.
Nuclear panic with our friends,
Very Mary Poppins like.
Mr.
Henry Fonda.
Mr. Fonda and Mr. Mathau.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry. Breaking news, folks. Breaking news from page 6. Breaking. Bill Maher and Al Pacino's girlfriend seen leaving the Chateau Marmont together. She's 30.
She's dating both of them.
Well, she's with Al Pacino officially.
Yeah.
And she was seen leaving the Chateau Marmont with Bill Maher.
Well, there's nothing to see there at all. Why would anyone
Maher is 68. Pacino's in his mid 80s, and she's 30. I would say that Pacino and Maher are both a creepy guys, but one of them is in The Godfather, and one of them, defends Israel on HBO once a week. So
yeah,
my eyes see.
One does a
scandal.
Podcast in his basement.
Yes. All right.
I don't think there's any competition. If she knows what she's doing, she'll be with.
Also, one of those guys has more money than the other and is going to die sooner. So, although Al Pacino could outlive Bill Maher. Bill Maher is a heavy drug user.
There's a big reason to marry Al Pacino besides the money. There's no reason to marry Bill Maher besides the money.
No, there's no reason whatsoever.
No.
Okay.
All right, number 1 in 1964.
Mary Poppins.
Indeed.
Great.
Number 2.
I don't know. Have we
Mary
mentioned
Poppins
it? My Fair Lady?
$102 million.
In today's money?
No.
Oh God. Okay.
Sorry, 102 in today's money is $1 billion.
Yes.
You multiply by 10.
All right,
roughly.
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it sold over 109 million tickets. So that translates to about 1.1 billion in today's money.
Mary Poppins Returns, which I think they thought could have been $1 billion film, ended up only making $350 worldwide because Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda are not movie stars.
They are not Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. It also came out the same day as Aquaman, and everyone had to go see Julie Andrews play the octopus. So
yeah, she got them. She got them there.
She got them. Yeah,
she got them. All right, number 2.
My Fair Lady.
Indeed.
Not an amazing musical. I think we talk about it with Katie on the Roman Holiday episode. Go back and listen to that.
Number 3.
I don't know.
Another big British famous character.
Big British famous character. Oliver?
No.
A big British famous... Real guy?
No.
Real woman?
What do you mean a real guy?
As in, is it a Dickens thing or is it a real person?
No, it's a fictional character.
It's a fictional character?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a musical?
No.
A Bond?
Bond.
Okay, so what one is this? Is it Dr. No?
Nope.
So From Russia with Love?
Nope.
Goldfinger?
Indeed. It's Goldfinger.
I don't know if I've seen Goldfinger. I don't know if is Goldfinger considered to be a good movie? I think it is.
Sure.
Look, I think those Connery ones, people tend to rank those based on how good the songs are. Mm-hmm. And Goldfinger is obviously a pretty great song. So, all right, continue.
Next film is a film I do not know what it is.
Okay,
It is the something, and it has a big long word that I don't think is a word.
I don't know. Just give me the director or something. One of the actors.
It is directed by Edward Dmytryk.
No, don't know who that is.
Tagline is, have you seen it?
Is it The Poseidon Adventure?
No.
Okay, keep going.
It is unlikely that you will experience in a lifetime all that you will see in movie title.
Is it the Something Adventure or the...
No. Stars George Peppard.
George Peppard, who's from... Yeah, no, I know.
Alan Ladd.
Nah, I know what this is.
This is The Carpetbaggers.
I've never heard of that. The Carpetbaggers.
Carpetbaggers.
Fake movie. Okay, continue.
Playboy Jonas inherits his father's industrial empire.
Yeah. Continue.
Sure. Oh, another Bond.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this fake Casino Royale?
No.
So it's From Russia with Love?
From Russia with Love.
Probably came out the year before.
Nope.
And just, no?
From Russia with Love.
They didn't both come out in 1964.
April 8th, 1964.
Really? Yeah.
Goldfinger. December 22nd, 1964.
Wow.
Unless it was a re-release?
Who knows?
Who knows?
So From Russia with Love would be the earlier one, because that's the...
Said it came out 8 months beforehand.
From Russia with Love is a 1963 film.
Okay.
Yeah. Released October 63.
I don't know why it's down as April. It must have got a bit of a re-release.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay,
All right.
like 2 more.
Next one, I don't know what it is.
What's it called?
Father Goose.
That's a musical. I don't know. Something I've never seen.
It's a romantic comedy.
All right. That might have Cary Grant in it, actually. All right. The next one?
Next one is the name of a John Mayer song.
Why You No Love Me?
No.
I don't know.
Shot in the Dark.
Oh, that's Pink Panther. That's Pink Panther. That's fucking Blake Edwards nonsense.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
All right. Good stuff.
What else? Doctor Strangelove in there at 12.
Yeah.
I want to see, did Failsafe make the list at all? It did not.
It did not.
Did not make the top 22.
Ridiculous. Should have won Best Picture.
Should have.
All right. Let's go do a boy party. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to our Mary Poppins episode. You can visit boypartypod.com, follow Boy Party Pod on Instagram and Twitter for the latest episodes. We'll be back next week. Thank you, Shane. Thank you to you for listening.
Thank you to Dick Van Dyke for just being alive.
And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.